It sounds like what I'm hearing you say is the environment of our economy for the last 20 years has really been set to breed fraud.
Oh, absolutely.
And now we're starting to have some of that.
I think we're going to have even some worse fraud, as it was easier for the fraudsters to get government money.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome back. Expandable. So I was thinking, I'd like to get your perspective. I think a lot of people would love to hear your perspective as bank CEO from your desk, like your point of view on certain topics. And right now, a big topic that hits home, I think, to the nature of the work that you guys do is fraud.
Yeah.
We're seeing all over the place in various aspects, all different levels, from local to national, global. What's on your desk right now, and kind of like what's on your mind when it comes to fraud, in a broader sense?
I'm glad it's coming to light, and I've kind of seen it for years in different ways. And, we saw it early on when there were so many holes during PPP.
Yeah.
So right then and there, when I had customers that would apply, and you would look at it and say, since when did you have this many employees?
Because it asks you, how many employees do you have? And it's like,
you got paid for the amount of salaries.
Right.
And so there was no double check, to get these checks out. Nobody was checking if it was actually true. They were not comparing to previous years' tax returns. And, it's kind of on the honor system. And so when I had customers and that was sent, and you'd say, there's no way I'm submitting this. Mm-hmm. And there were people that that supposedly were, honest people, and they'd lent in the past, and we saw that, it put a new light. So
interesting.
We just, no, absolutely not. But from when I saw that, then I knew we're going to take care of our customers, legitimate, that need the PPP money that we know are legitimate.
Yeah.
And then expand out from there as time dilutes. But, I knew taking on people that we didn't know, majority of it was fraud.
Yeah.
People were putting on there. And so, this person had no more than like $5,000 a month in employee costs. And they were, we had $25,000 a month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
it was just pervasive.
Yeah.
And so what I see now too is, I think you've got good companies that now their sales are down, and they're kind of wondering why. I didn't realize that, their sales were even propped up from fraud.
Yeah.
Because, the way people spend money when they've gotten, money quick that they didn't earn, it's completely different than somebody's that earns their money.
Yeah,
they're more calculated on the way they spend. It makes more sense. So I think we've propped up all these industries that were pretty hollow that, they're going to fail now because, when you take time and you've earned that dollar, you spend it completely different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just hands down.
I think that's true in the fraud, component, but also in proper business, that there's so many things that we're seeing now, like a lot of these SaaS companies or fintech companies that are folding because there wasn't really a value in the market for them, but they were propped up.
No, well, and most of those too, we see on the market. And when the sales companies and every new fintech would come to us and try to sell us banks, and it was like they, most of those companies to me were so hollow. They were like having a party behind the scenes.
Yeah,
and they were excited that they had a busy day because they had all these meetings set up.
Yeah,
and
right.
They really did nothing but talk about their team meeting.
It's like the vanity metrics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and then two, when you had people complaining about, their bosses asking them too much of what they're doing, and, not in that, it was just like, okay, the dynamic is completely shifted.
Yeah.
So, that whole quietly quitting or something, everybody quietly used AI to replace their ass.
That's right.
So, I think there's a huge set and change on that. I don't see commercial real estate properties. They're holding their value, and people want to sell them at cap rates that to me are not, they need to be higher.
Yeah.
There's a risk in owning property and renting out. And listen, you need a little bit of buffer, and we've gotten to, 4 or 5% cap rates ridiculous, for long term so depending on what it is, I think things are changing, and the movement of money is completely changing.
Yeah.
And hopefully for the better, we don't know. But always during that downtime, you've got plenty of good people that are going to be affected from fraud. They just didn't realize their business, whether it was a restaurant, that people were spending more money going out to eat. And, I mean, we have a lot less restaurants now than we did prior to COVID too. So, and even a lot of the restaurants now aren't doing as well as they were.
Right.
So
yeah, capacity is down.
Correct. And that's even in some of the aspects that I see in great states.
Right.
So,
right.
But overall, I think people are doing pretty decent, but that is a huge change. And I think the ramifications of us allowing fraud to be pervasive, we're going to have a little bit of pain, but it will get better.
Yeah, it has to be really interesting from your perspective behind the scenes, because you and your team deal with fraud every single day. I mean, you work with a lot of...
we see more volume. It's like more people get desensitized.
Yeah.
Younger people are more inclined to steal because they're not going to get in trouble. And so it does make a difference when, those laws are lessened. You think you're helping. No, you're kind of changing, their moral compass too.
Sure.
And so I think there's more friendly fraud they want to call, but it's fraud.
Okay. What's that? Friendly fraud?
Yeah. People disputing transactions on their cards, even though they purchased the product, they did it. And like, it's okay.
Like a form of consumer fraud.
It is pervasive. I mean, it is so out there.
Yeah. You see that a lot with like the Costco returns and
who do you think he says costs? Yeah. I mean, it ends up going back to the business or the processor or the bank. And, so all the banks that are involved on those cards, they're the ones eating the cost.
Yeah.
The network, the Visa, the MasterCards, they're not eating any of that cost. They're benefiting from the transactions.
Right.
So, they don't have that incentive to really reduce that consumer fraud.
It sounds like what I'm hearing you say is the environment of our economy for the last 20 years has really been set to breed fraud.
Oh, absolutely.
And now we're starting to have some of that.
I think we're going to have even some worse fraud, as it was easier for the fraudsters to get government money through PPP throughout those loans. And as those are starting, now what are they going to do? Legitimate. So, as the lights turn on, you're going to get more and more forthcoming, so it's going to get, greater fraud, so people say, oh, I'm just stealing from the government. I'm planning that. Well, now that's dried up. Now where are you going to go?
Right.
Are you just suddenly going to get a day-to-day job? No.
Yeah. It's like,
so my prediction is fraud is only on the incline. It's only going to increase and affect more individuals and companies because, they were stealing directly from us through the government. Yeah. And as that is being, reduced.
Do you have any idea of where that will go? I mean, because you see it in a certain sort of microcosm, right? Where your type of customers see and experience fraud in not a limited number of ways, but it's in a box.
It'll get, as those businesses weren't doing, it's going to be a lot cutthroat back and forth with other businesses.
Okay.
And so there'll be a lot of business to business fraud back and forth, not paying on their payables, increase like that in communities.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, a lot of these businesses out there have legitimate means. And then what if now they had this good fortune of getting this lump sum over here, their lifestyle increased. They didn't maintain their lifestyle low of, what they were making legitimately.
Right.
Typically most of the time they increased their lifestyle. Yeah. So, hey, the gravy chain has stopped. And now what are they going to do?
And they feel like they deserve to stay at that certain place. So they're going to start to fall back. Maybe it seems like it ultimately
you're going to get desperate. Desperation is just going to breed it. Desperation
breeds the, breaking ethics and breaking their own moral law. So it sounds like you have, you're seeing good people that might turn bad in some degree. But
no, I think a lot of them, they were kind of like justifying that, if you're stealing regardless of who you're stealing from, but people will justify, well, it's a major corporation or it's the government.
Right.
So as that dries up, hopefully, do they stop or do they continue?
Mm-hmm. So you have individuals who are, enacting fraud on the government or, a social program or something like that, businesses. And there's a certain
non-for-profit.
There's a certain
everything.
Group of those people that will always do that. They're bad people. Then you have some people that have done it just because it was available, and they won't probably seek it out.
We've bred to the extent of how pervasive it was and how easy it was to attain.
And so that like you said, that the mindset has shifted now over the last however many years to think, well, I deserve this. This is the way it should be. Mm-hmm. So it's not fraud because this was all good. Like this is the way it should have been. So they've convinced themselves.
They do.
Because the environment was set for the convincing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. And same thing for businesses.
Absolutely. It's the same personal mindset. They're running that business. They think that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, on the business banking side, I mean, it is really, I think check fraud increase coming up, seeing counterfeit checks or just, coming through. Mm-hmm. And so, every little bit is going to continue on.
Yeah. So you think that it's going to get worse?
I do. Okay. I think it will temporarily
on all
get
levels,
worse.
Consumer and business.
Yes.
What about the government level? I mean, that's being fleshed out a little bit.
As that's drawing down, it's going to increase everywhere else.
Gotcha. Yeah. It'll have to shift.
Yes. And get more desperate. I mean, you've got I even was reading, you got car dealerships in South Florida. Yeah. That were high-end car dealerships. They were benefiting so much from even Venezuelan drug money. Mm-hmm. So, they had so much money over there that some people just, what do people do that, have millions of dollars of drugs? It's not like they're going to buy, regular basic stuff. They're going to buy luxury goods. So, I mean, you've got the luxury markets already being affected from like stuff being cut off even outside of here.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. There's a chain of events really that has unfolded, and that, I think of it like a train car where, it starts to pull and it pulls the slack.
Yeah. But then you're going to see all these individuals that are typical, lack of ethics, slime balls that have gravitated toward how easy it was to get funds throughout government and subsidies and however they're doing it. It was so pervasive and so easy, they're going to divert their attention to the other industries that maybe they came from or they knew. Yeah. So it's not just going to be one industry. They're going to go fit it out into every other industry, whether it's, manufacturing, whatever is the latest, buzz, not where everybody's focused, and they're going to go into and be the, the sales and the new culture in that industry.
Yeah. So then what would you say to small business owners who
now, I mean, with their background check everyone you deal with from your vendors that you rely on, hold people accountable to payments. If you've got a vendor that is now either delayed on implementation or, you've got money out and now they're changing their patterns of wanting payments. I mean, take it seriously and analyze everybody you do business with and your critical choke points.
That's something I started doing probably a couple of years ago. I don't know why. I mean, I think, you're in business long enough, you deal with enough shady cats that I started checking
their season. So, you'll have wonderful employees, but season changes or they have to move and, you've got to change. So,
yeah. But I would check their legal to see what any pending lawsuits or anything they had before, because I didn't want to be the next one. Yeah. But that's good advice, though. I think just double and triple checking background on fraudsters coming into your organization and then people you're dealing with, both vendors and clients.
Yeah, because think about it. Are you always thinking about that person that's, selling you something for your business? Mm-hmm. Did you give them up front? You got to check out everybody.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah, well, this is good. It's very, it turns a light on, and I think in a lot of people's heads because you see it in a different way. Like you're used to seeing it every single day, and you see the trends and kind of where it's going more broadly, I think, than most people. Most people just seeing it in their own little microcosm of, buying and selling stuff on Amazon or going to Costco. Like you hear about those kind of things. And then you hear about the government stuff, obviously, because it's in the news. But this middle kind of tranche of fraud is hidden, but it's there.
It is.
And it's very pervasive.
Well, and then it impacts us, whether you know it or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it impacts the cost of everything.
Yeah.
It's good. I like it. All right, on to the next one.